Welcome to WinForms series, and in this video we are going to see how to draw a simple line on the WinForms. So using a button click event, and we should be able to draw this kind of horizontal line using the color which we want. So let's begin. So to draw a line on this blank 2D surface, what we need, first of all, we need a 2D surface, and let's consider these. This is going to be a 2D axis. So this is the x-axis versus y-axis. On this plane 2D surface, what we're going to do, we're going to draw a line. So to draw a line, we need to know about the points. So at this axis, starting from 0 comma 0, these are these coordinates I have. So this is x-axis, this is a y-axis. Now to draw a line, we need certain points. If I start from this x, let's say 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, at this x1 is 50 and y1 is also 50. So then my line will be like this. It is like starting from this and up to which point I need to transfer, that is a, my line slope is a horizontal line slope is, let's say, 0, and then this is going to be drawing a horizontally. So consider this is a 50 from x-axis and y-axis is kind of 50. If this line is a little bit down below here. So these x and y coordinates are x1 and y1 is a 50, 50. So I will write it here, x1 and y1. So this x1 and y1 are the 50, 50. For same, as I said, this line slope is 0 and this is a horizontal line, and this distance, let's say 200, and x1 is 200 and y1 is the same as this is the horizontal line. So this is how we used to draw a straight line. So to draw this straight line in the WinForms, how we are going to do it? Now here I created a simple project of WinForms. So in the WinForms drawing solution, I have this a drawing demo as a form. I wanted to draw a line. For that, we will use a commonly used control. Let's say button. I'll drag here button. And for this button, I'll give this name as draw line. On this draw line, let's increase this font size and to make it more visible to easily. So this draw line, and this button name will also make this button name, so it will appear in the background, btn draw line. So when I double click, it will create an event draw line. So on this plane surface of this form, we are going to draw a line. So now we have this system.drawing as a namespace. Inside this namespace, we have the graphics class. So for this graphics class, write this graphics class, create an object of this graphics class, graphics, and dot from handle window, and pass this argument as this class. So here this dot handle, so we are going to pass a pointer of a current class, because on this class, using this class only, we are going to handle this control. So now this from handle window is a static method in the graphics class, which is a part of a system.drawing namespace, and this system.drawing namespace is available into the system.drawing.dll. So from handle window, from this handle specific window handle, we have to pass as a pointer of the current class. So here this keyword represents a object of a current class. So I am passing this dot handle. So this pointer of this current class, I am passing it for this method. Now once graphics ready, step 2, what we have to do is, in the step 2, we need a pen. So we need a pen. Which color pen we need? So for this also, we'll be creating a object of a pen equals to new pen. we need some arguments to be passed here. If you see, there are arguments which kind of brush we need, and the width also can pass. So here you can see this color dot, let's say for example a default color, or maybe navy blue, let's say navy blue we are going to pass. So from this color structure we are using this navy, and let's say float width, in the sense the thickness of the line, let's say 2. We are going to use inbuilt method of this graphics. So now step 3 is draw a line, draw line. Step 3, g dot draw line. So in the draw line we need to pass p. So we need to pass as a pen which color pen we are going to use, and x1 x1 y1 and x2 y2. I have created already a navy color pen, so I'm pen, and I am going to pass a x1 is a 50, and y1 is also 50, and horizontal line it will be 200 up to 200 point, and y2 is going to be a 50. So it will create a horizontal line, so it has a slope equals to 0. So after running, you can see here, click on this draw line and it is visible. If I change some of the arguments, let's say this, instead of 200 I'll make this 300, and I'll just refresh or this hot reload for this code, and I click on this draw line, I can see this line has been stretched horizontally towards this x-axis. We are going to see how to draw a line and the circle along with it. So now first of all, if you see in this 2D surface, if I wanted to draw a circle which is going to be touched to this line, then at least I need to start from the 50 points before ending of this line. So I'm drawing this one, ellipse shape circle. So trying to touch the center of the circle to the top edge of the circle. So for this circle, if I wanted to decide the coordinates for creating using the graphics library in the WinForms, so if you see, I am just starting this left top edge of the circle. It's almost 50 points before. So this line is ending, this x2 coordinates is ending to the 200, and it's starting from the 50. So it is coming almost the length of this line. If we use the formula, then it is to be a 150. So this coordinate for the left top x coordinate, it will be comes around the 150. So I will be writing these coordinates here. So this is going to be a 150, and for the y-axis it is touching to this almost this line, so it is already 50. So this x coordinate, x I am saying here, x and y. Now this ellipse or the circle shape is a bounding rectangle, so I need to define a width and the height as well. So already this 50 part is covered for this radius. So if 50 and I just multiply by 2, then it's going to be 100. So if I give this coordinate as 100 for height and width, if I give this 100 and 100, so it should define that kind of rectangle. So if I give this height and width is going to be 100 and 100, so this way my circle will be drawn it here for height and width of this bounding rectangle here. So now you will see in this WinForms how to pass these 4 values along with the pane. So this x 150, y 50, and height and width as a 100. We have the single button here, and this WinForms, as we have seen in the how to draw a line in that video. So here this code, we have this graphics object defining this pane object and calling this method as a draw line and passing these arguments. So now for this one, we are going to, what we are going to do, this step 1 is of the graphics design. We'll be copying and passing to the top level. So these two objects, graphics object and the pane object, will be passing at the top level. And same for the pane object, will be declaring at the class level. So we can remove this additional declaration from here, and easily we can call these two methods from here. So this initialization as well, we can cut it from here and we can move to the constructor level. So this initialization of this graphics and this calling this method, so this G will be getting assigned from this graphics object, and here as well this initialization of this pane we are moving to the constructor. So this is our constructor public drawing demo. Now in this button click we left with the drawing of a line. So we're just trying to minimize the code in this button click event. Now in this one we wanted to draw a circle as well. So here draw circle, or you can say ellipse, because the method which we have available in this library is a ellipse. So G dot ellipse, draw ellipse. So for this ellipse, if you see this overloaded method for here, we have to pass the pane and then top left coordinate for this x-axis and top left corner of this y-axis and the width and the height. So these four parameters we have to pass it here from here. First of all, we'll pass the pane object, and then we'll be passing, as we decided, the coordinates. X coordinate is a 150, y coordinate is a 50, and 100 width and 100 height. So now if I will be running this code, then it will execute in such a way that, so the horizontal line which we are going to draw it here, so this ellipse of the circle should exactly touch to the center should be coming into the same kind of coordinate for this ellipse and the ending of this line. So I'll run this one, click on this draw line, so you can see exactly how we have defined in our while manually drawing this circle and the horizontal line. It is looking like the same. So using this draw line button, we draw on this line circle is touching to the horizontal line. So now if we see, we are doing the same execution of the code inside this single event. So to make it a separate one, we can utilize a similar kind of button. To this is for the draw line and this is going to be for draw circle, and we can change the properties of this button as well. So if you see this range symbol from the properties, so instead of this draw line, we can make this draw circle, and this event name as well, this button name. So this is going to be an object name in the design code. So we can make this button draw circle. If you wanted to see the code for this, all the button, then form, everything, whatever we're changing from these properties, so all these property names, whatever it's changing, it goes into this designer class. So this is a designer class where all the form related things are here. If you see this window form designer code generated, and if you expand this one, you can see then the initialize component. So this is the draw line button code. So here this the name which we have given as object name, here it's appeared. That text on this button, here it got appeared, and this event handler for this button as well. So whatever this we would do on drag and drop, the code will get generated into this designer.cs file. Now we'll be generating this draw circle event here, and we can cut this circle ellipse part from this event to copy to the another event. And then whenever we'll be executing, so when we click on the first button, it should execute this draw line click event, and when we click on this draw circle, it should execute here. So the separation concern will be resolved here. Now run and check. If I click on this draw line, only line should be drawn, and if I click on this draw circle, only circle should be drawn here. As of now, we have seen a complete basics step by step. Now we have to go to the next level, where we should be actually looking into how we have written the code, and whether this is really as per the standard coding guidelines, and with respect to the memory consumption, and with respect to the standard C# code writing process. So if you look into this constructor, we have this g equals to graphics dot from handle window, and we are passing this a pointer of this current class. So this is nothing but a pointer to the current class, and we are passing this int pointer for getting this window control for the graphics. However, if you see this clearly here in drawing demo colon form, so this form is inherited into this drawing demo. So the methods which are inside this form are the events which we can reuse, and we can override the events from this form class. So I'm talking about the onPaint event. If you go this form class, so here I was searching for this onPaint event. If you see all those on gate form closing, so whatever this form life cycle which we talk about, so here this onPaint event, what it does, it raises the system.windows.forms.control paint event, and this is inside this form class. If you see this protected override wide on paint and with the arguments of the paint event arguments. So in the paint event arguments, we can easily get the object of a graphics. So now how we are getting this event arguments as a graphics G. So if you see this paint event arguments and this event E, so for this event args, if you go inside this class paint event args, we'll be finding this graphics private variable and the one property for this one, which is returning a graphics object. So here gets the graphic used to paint. If you override this method, which we have seen in this form class, let me add that method. So this event handler here and this method which is going to be execute continuously for this handling this on paint event, so we'll be overriding into our drawing demo class. So here I'll copying this one, and so it will be executing continuously. If I press here breakpoint and if I run this one, so if you see this breakpoint is hitting here on the protected override on paint event. If I press continue, still it will be continuously executing it here. So now we are going to make a use of this onPaint event. So in this onPaint event, first of all, we need to call a base method here, base onPaint, and we'll passing this event arguments. And then we can assign this variable, this G equals to e.graphics. And for this e.graphics, if you try to execute this method, now what I'll do, I'll put this method draw line it here, draw lining of this drawing of this line. I'm putting this method inside this on paint event. So when I run this project, automatically line should be drawn on this form. You can see this line has been drawn. Now we want this to be happen on this click event, then we can put some variable here is line, and when we click on this button is line should be true, and then this execution should happen. So to make it further, what we can do, we will just put one variable here, boolean variable bool is line. So when we click on this button, then line should be drawn. So what we'll do, so this is line will be making this true. When button click line making true, but here how it will come to know for this event whether lines should be drawn or no. If you want to make this conditional, then we'll use this variable is line, and we'll make this conditional putting inside this is line. And one more method we have to call from this form, this drawing demo form, that is nothing but invalidate method we have to call. So here this invalidate, what this method does, it redraws, it refreshes basically form what is needs to be paint on the form, then only it will come to know. So this all controls needs to be redrawn. So after making this true, so this method will execute, and then this line will be getting drawn. So run it. So you can see I click this on and this line has been drawn it here. So same thing we can do for the circle as well. So I'll put it here, bool is circle, and same thing we can add it here, if is circle, then only circle should be drawn. And here as well, is circle equals to true, and this dot invalidated, and we can remove this code from here. So on button click, we are just setting this variable is line and is circle true and invalidating control, and this event will get continuously execute. So initially on the form there is nothing. If we click on this draw line, line will get drawn. If we click on this draw circle, circle will get drawn. So this way we can make it conditional. If I'm checking this checkbox, line is getting drawn. If I uncheck, there is no line because the control is getting refreshed. This drawing gets refreshed. If I'm checking for this each circle, it is getting drawn. If I uncheck, it will be redrawn. This whole form is getting redrawn. So these two actions we are doing at this checkbox check change event. So this way we can make this conditional using a checkbox control. So let's begin for working with the checkboxes. So to work with the checkboxes, so we will removing this draw line and draw circle. These are the two buttons. If you try to understand the differences between this button action and the checkbox, both of the controls, the button base is inherited into that class, and also both controls are the part of system.windows.forms.dl. So now if I see this button class, and where this button class, if you see this button base is inherited into the button class, and this represents us Windows button control. And same for the checkbox. This checkbox is also inherits this button base, and this is also a system.windows.forms a checkbox control. Now in a practical scenario, whenever we want to do something on the action basis, whether this particular thing we want like conditional, then we go for the checkbox control. Button control, if you want to perform some actions that is going to do some long operation, not only just click and this is going to be setting this variable true or false. So for the specific purpose we are going to work with the checkboxes. So I'm going to remove this draw line and draw circle controls from here, and we'll bring another control checkbox. Can just make a copy of this same checkbox which we tracked on this form. This both checkboxes will just change this properties of this control, making this control visible with the bold font, and changing this font size as well. So first checkbox is for line. So chk line, I'll say chk line, and text also will be changing for this checkbox. So this text property I'm changing is line, and for this second checkbox I'll be changing to is circle, and chk circle. And now for these checkboxes, this each line and each circle, we have to generate a check change event. So as we have this properties into this section where we can see this range symbol, and second one is like thunderstorm symbol for the events. We go to events, and here is the checked change event. So just double click on it, it will create an event for chk line check change. So this is a checked changed is the event, and this is the name for this control we have given. For the second also, just right click, go to the properties, and generate checked change event. So for the circle as well. So these things we have to change, and the code which we have written for this button draw line, just cut it from here and paste inside this chk line check change event. And same thing for the circle as well, cut the code which we have written under this button draw circle and paste inside the chk circle check change event. And as we have removed this control, so we can remove this event handles as well from here. Using button control, we were passing this hard-coded variable as a true, but actually the checkbox is checked or unchecked, we have to find out. So we are going to change the value of this true hard-coded value. We are making it a dynamic based on the actual checkbox value. So here this chk line dot, here is the check property, it is get, so this check property If you hover the mouse on this property and the intelligence code shows the snippet explanation, it's a summary of this property checked gets or set the value indicating whether checkbox is in the checked state. So if it is the checked state, it will be returning true and it will assign to this is line. And if it is false, so the false will be getting assigned. So here the code which we have written this on paint will be changing based on this variable value, based on this checkbox checked value. So same thing here, we can make it chk circle dot checked. So whatever the actual state, it will get assigned to this is line or each circle. Now run and check how it behaves. So if I check this is line, the line will get visible. If I uncheck, line will get invisible. Same for the circle. If I check, the state will get changed and this value will get assigned each circle, and this event is continuously invoking on paint event and it is refreshing using this invalidate method. In the same code base, if we want to avoid these two variable, that also we can do. So directly, if this chk line checked is already returning this boolean value, so we can just replace is line with the chk line dot checked, and same for chk circle, we can change this variable directly, and we can use this boolean value inside this on paint event. So just to reduce the number of lines of code and extra two variables which we have declared here, so you can just delete those variables, and here also you can just delete this line. Only I'm just invalidated refreshing the things when the checkbox value gets changed. So run this one. If I'm checking this checkbox, line is getting drawn. If I uncheck, there is no line because the control is getting refreshed. This drawing gets refreshed. If I'm checking for this each circle, it is getting drawn. If I uncheck, it will be redrawn. This full form is getting redrawn. So these two actions we are doing at this checkbox check change event. So this way we can make this conditional using a checkbox control. So if I'll be checking this checkbox, it will be showing line. If I'll be checking the circle, it will be showing the circle. If I uncheck, it will go off. If I check the line will be getting drawn. If circle, the circle will be getting drawn. So let's begin for adding a checklist box into our application. So go to toolbox, and here in this common controls, we have the another control, that is a checklist box. So what it is exactly? So it is a list of checkboxes. So now just drag and drop it here. So for this checklist box, change the properties. First of all, add the items into the checklist box. It's line, circle. Next, you can change these properties of this font and then items properties from here. So I changed the font details here. Then for this checklist box, you can change the name CHK shape list. Whenever we are going to run this application, it will be available for the checks. So if I click on this any item, that should be checks. So for this one, we have one property check on click. So here as of now by default it is a false, indicates if the check box should be toggled. First click on the item. So we'll make this true. So whenever we will be selecting item, it will be checkbox will be get checked. Now for this checklist box, we have to create an event as well for item check. For here, if you scroll up here, this item check indicates that an item about to have checked and the state changed, as we have done for this individual checkboxes like state getting changed from checked state or unchecked state. So that also we need to track using this event. So this item check event handler we are going to add into our code behind. Now this old events which is for individual, we can remove. First of all, remove these two checkboxes from here, and we'll be having a single checklist box having them two items into it. And these events also we can remove from here. Now for this chk checklist, the same code which we have done for here to invalidate this form, we have to add this function here. And this drawing of line and drawing of the circle we are going to do with respect to this event. So as of now I just comment here, and now this chk shape list will be having items, maybe single items checked or multiple item checks. For tracking those items we'll be using a for each loop. So for each where item inside which collection, this collection is a chk shape list dot checked item. So always we'll be having the collection of checked item into this collection. So this checked item will be saying this instead of item chk item, checked item. So for each checked item we are going to apply this logic. So but which item has been checked, that we need to know, because in the list we have line and circle. So here we'll be writing, either we can go for if else writing the condition, or we can write a switch case as well. So here we will create a string shape, and for this string shape, this shape need to be known. So whatever the check item, chk item dot to string. So this item itself we have added the string collection, and then we can add a switch case for chk item. So for this chk item we have the multiple cases as of now, the cases which we have added as a line and this circle. So second case is a circle. So these are the contents which we have added in the our design. And here this drawing of line code will be copying from here and passing into the switch case, and here from here as well, this creating of the ellipse will be passing into the ellipse section, circle section, and we can remove this older line of code. So previously we were using a single checkbox for each control. Now we are having the checklist box, and this is how the logic will execute. Now go and run this one. So if I'll be checking this checkbox, it will be showing line. If I'll be checking the circle, it will be showing the circle. If I uncheck, it will go off. If I check the line will be getting drawn. If circle, the circle will be getting drawn. And I'm putting this starting from 50, y and also 50, and x I'm ending this line at a 200, or let's say it is ending at 100, and this y to also 50. And if I do this line, you can see this line. If you want to change it from the 5, and if you just recheck it again, you can see this line. Same for the circle also, we can put some parameters here. So put it for the x is starting from, let's say 150. This y is again 50, width 100, and height is also 100. And then select circle. You can see this circle getting drawn it here towards the next control of a panel. At this moment we can see if I have compressed all this toolbox controls. So here you can see all the Windows forms, the common controls, containers, menu toolbox, data, components, printing, dialogues, grouped together. So now for this panel, if I check this panel is not available in the common user control. So that is based on the requirement. So I will just compress it and I'll expand all Windows forms. So here these controls are alphabetically ordered, like background worker, this binding navigation, BEP, and then all the controls which are starting from the C later, checkbox, checklist box, color dialog. And so if I wanted to get the panel, I have to just little bit scroll down, and here I can see this panel. So enables you to group the collection of the controls. So just drag and drop it, this panel it here. It is kind of you can see this is like kind of dotted lines which is here, and we can change the properties for this panel as well. So just go to the properties, and this border style you can see it's none, so you can make like fixed single, so it is visible. So now I'm just moving this line related controls on this panel. So this panel we created for the line. Again we have this another one which we created for the circle, and for this if you wanted to pass the values for the circle as well, what we have to pass the x and y coordinates as well as the width and height. So here this additional width and height also we need along with the x and y. So same panel I have copy pasted, and here I am going to use this x2 as a width and a height to identify width and height. And for the x, instead of x1 x2, I just making it as a x and y coordinates for the circle. So we have to change this object name from here. So I'm going to change this txt as x, simply txt x, and here also as a txt y. So this is txt underscore y, so y value, and for the width and height txtw and txtw. Now for this group, one more label we can use here for making this separation. So this is for the circle, we can say circle parameters. So this is for the circle parameters, and one more in this line parameters. We have to write a code behind logic for the circle parameter as well. Now if you go in the code behind, so these parameters we have to change. So here again we are using this passing as a parameter as integer. So I'm using this convert dot to int, the code which we have written for this line, and passing to this one. So first point for this ellipse we have as a x, so I'm just using x, and second point which we have, second parameter which we have as a y, so I'm passing this y. Again I'm just taking to the next line so we can easy to read, and here we have this width, and here we have this as a height. So give us such a naming convention so it will be easy for a developer to write a code behind logic for it. So we have passed this dynamically arguments for the line as well as ellipse. Now run, and first of all we'll be checking for the line, and I'm putting this starting from 50, y and also 50, and x I'm ending this line at a 200, or let's say it is ending at 100, and this y to also 50. And if I do this line, you can see this line. If you want to change it from the 5, and if you just recheck it again, you can see this line. Same for the circle also, we can put some parameters here. So put it for the x is starting from, let's say 150, this y is again 50, width 100, and height is also 100, and then select circle. We can see this circle getting drawn it here. Now let's begin for using a panel. We'll be drawing a graphics inside a panel. So first of all, go to this toolbox and all Windows controls, navigate to panel, drag and drop this panel. So default, there is no border, there is no background color, so we can change all these properties from here. So make it this border style fixed single. So you can see this is the single pixel size, border size we have added here, and give the good name here as we are going to use this panel in the background. Panel drawing, and then change this back color. So you're doing custom, make it white. So this white color we'll be using, and we'll give some appropriate size for here for our panel. So let's say this height we have, width we have given 200, make it this something 300, and this height as well, make something 300. So on this panel we are going to draw a graphics, all these things which we are doing on paint. So that should be, this is happening on the form, now we wanted to do it on the panel. So this event, on paint event, we have to generate on paint event for the panel. So right click on again properties, and here go to the events, and here you can see this paint. Just double click on it, it will generate panel drawing on paint event. So if you see on ComboBox selection, we were doing this invalidate. So this was representing this form object. So this we have to do for the panel. So here I'll do PNL drawing dot invalidate. This is what we have to do, and I'll just delete this previous one, this dot invalidate. And The logic, the code which we have written here on paint of this form, we can just bring to, we can just bring this to the panel drawing. Also this full event also we can remove it from here, so unnecessary triggering this event inside this on paint. So because this code which we have moved into this panel drawing paint. So now we have this panel white background, and we'll provide some values to this x1, so 5. So my coordinates will be starting from this left top corner. So I have given x as a 5, so it will start from like almost from here. I'm pointing this mouse here, and this y1 will be starting y1 also I'm giving 5. So this 5 comma 5 will appear from here, and towards the right hand side I'll be giving this value, let's say 100, and it will be stopping to this 100, and this y2 point also 5, because I wanted to make a horizontal line. And now I'm just selecting up from the drop down line, so it should draw this line. So this x1 y1 is starting from this 5 comma 5, and this y x2 y2 we have given 100. So this length of this line is appearing from this 5 to 100, so almost 95, and this is the 5 where it is ending the y. So it is showing this is a horizontal line. My line slope is 0. So same for the circle also, you can test from where we wanted to start this one. Let's say this I'm giving 5 comma 5, and this width and height is giving 100. If I'm changing it from circle, you can see the circle is getting drawn here.